Hello, everyone. We're live again, a little bit late, 1 minute. I'm Christine Bell. This is my wonderful guest, Royce, and he's a fantastic radio host and from the past who is amazing in marketing, and he's amazing in all things when it comes to actually doing interviews as well. So no doubt he can give me a little bit of great critique afterwards, which I would
never. You're a pro, Christine. Are you kidding me? Come on, no problem.
I appreciate that coming from someone like you who actually was a pro, where I'm more like doing qualitative research, which is a great way to actually learn how to interview people.
Absolutely. And yes, we can talk about interviewing too, but if you want, we'll just jump right in because man, there's so many things to cover because marketing as we know it today is changing so fast. I think we've all realized that, and the platforms, the tools, I mean, anything you can think of. We have to step back a little bit though and think about how lucky we are because we're living right now in an era of free promotion, right? If you think about it, we can just slap up a YouTube channel or post or do anything for free. And you think that's going to last forever? Nope. It's very soon they'll be charging for such, beautiful things as post. Of course, who knows how they're going to get that content that we create after the AIs have run out of it all. But at the same time, here we are in a free era. So you're silly not to take advantage of it. And as you know, I'm also a longtime copywriter and marketing coach. And man, I hear this almost every day from prospects, clients. How am I going to market this? Because they all think, and most do, have incredible products or services to market. And how are you going to do that? Because there's a million different ways, right? Everything from Facebook ads to, posts on social media. But things are changing so fast. And you have to take advantage of this free media. But we're changing right now. And it's, I think, in a good way. Feel free to jump in here anytime because
I will. But first of all, if you haven't looked at the comments yet, Royce, it is going ballistic. Jason is here. I haven't seen you for so long. Thank you for being here. Tommy's here. Thank you. Kenneth is here. Michael is here as well. And Jeremy as well. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
So
and this
glad.
It's going to be a great show because we can learn so much from you, Royce. So
yeah. Well,
you've already
So here's a phrase I'd like everybody to remember because we're going from social media to what we call interest media. It used to be, right? The only way you'd score big on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever was if you had a ton of followers, right? You had a ton of reach. Well, now, thanks to AI, it knows exactly what you've put up. This goes for emails as well. People don't realize this, but AI reads everything before they unleash it on the internet. And that includes email. That decides whether it goes into your spam folder or your inbox. It doesn't matter anymore if you put free in your subject line. That used to be a killer, right? It would automatically go to spam. Same for social posts. It reads or watches your entire video before it decides where to put it and how often to show it. Right now, they're looking for original content, and that is really important. And I can dive deeper into that later. But
I wanted to talk to you about that actually, and I just want to say hello to Mosh as well. And Kenneth says you have the most scrumptiously, deliciously, edibly tasty, good, heartfelt sounding voice, and you sure do.
Doesn't he? He's always got a way with
something
which lots of
I think, yes. And I think there's something really important that you just touched on that I think is really important because I'm not saying AI isn't great, but what I am seeing on social media, LinkedIn as well, is a lot of sameness. Like it's a sea of sameness, same types of word, beautifully written, perfect. And then I was listening to an interview with Simon Sinek the other day on the Diary of a CEO. If you haven't heard his, I love his interview style as well, just like Joe Rogan, which is what I like.
Right.
But But you know what I found was what he was saying, which I have found as well. And I think you just touched on it, is that AI is great, but we got to make sure that human connection is there, because, you know, in a sea of sameness and so many out there, because like you said, it's free for most people to be out there, you know, in terms of
That's right.
putting yourself out there in most platforms.
Well, they're
It's
doing
really
it for
hard to get attention. It's really hard to get awareness. And that's the first part, right? We've got Tracy here.
absolutely.
Thank you for being here. And Daniel too.
But I mean, they're doing it for a really good reason, because the bots are taking over, right? You write something in ChatGPT or what, you know, your favorite large language model, and it'll spit out some incredible content, especially if you prompt it well. But you know, who wants to sit there on a stream full of bots? So the way they're going to do that is by reading everything you create, basically, and everything you post, and it knows, okay, that's a bot, and it'll you know, I hate to use the word penalize, but that's kind of what it is. It won't show it to as many people, right?
Well, I
The
think like
good,
Instagram and Facebook is like you are talking to yourself. The algorithm is so down that
right,
you are not being seen to
right.
anyone.
Or you get the magic, you know, special DM right back from Susie, you know, who you know is like, yeah, no human talks like this, especially someone named Susie. So, you know, that's, yes, that's the world we're living in. And so that's the first step in how they're trying to combat that.
Yeah. And the data, Traces, is not about the promoting it, it's about the data you feed in. Absolutely true. But there is something we can detect in terms of AI. It literally spits it out perfectly. And what Simon Sinek, and I want to hear your points on this, Royce, is he said you almost have to make a mistake now to make sure that people see that it's a human who wrote it, or pretend it's a human who wrote it. I'm sure AI could do that as well. And then
Absolutely.
there's the other thing, a thought I was talking about this morning as well that you just mentioned is, how do you stay original?
Because it should come, and I'm not saying original, you can still use AI, don't get me wrong. I use a lot of AI, but I always edit and throw in usually, you know, inappropriate humor, you know, or something that I know the AI is not going to come up with. So, you know, original content means coming from your brain, not, you know, not just a bot. So that's what I mean by original
Yeah.
content. But the great part of this whole massive era we're in now, where they're looking for humanity, for instance, is they're going to take that interest media now, and they're going to serve it to the audience that has already shown interest, because it knows. So the good news is, if you want to start a YouTube channel, or you're just starting on LinkedIn or wherever, you know, you can find the minimal audience you can find, it minimal viable audience you can find. So let's say, you know, you want to build, you're great at folding fitted sheets, or you want to build solar birdhouses, whatever. Find people that do that, and the AI will help you do that. There's a great book I wanted to mention. I don't know if you're familiar with this or not. It's called I hope it's not backwards, but that's the Purple Cow by Seth Godin. Have you seen this before? It's great because he talks about the smallest audience you can and make a tribe, right? You're trying to build a tribe, true fans that will help you. And then when people see that content, they're going to become lifelong fans. They're going to love it. They're going to spread the word, and that's how you start marketing. And if someone, believe me, I've been a marketer for a long time, and if somebody tells you they know it's going to work, or even worse, they guarantee something's going to work, run the other way, because I've been at this a long time. And, you know, I mean, I remember spending 2 weeks writing one promo. It was basically just probably 2 pages long. I thought it was the best thing in the world, right? And they paid me a lot of money for it. Sent it out, everything worked. Guess what? Crickets. Two people clicked. I
Yeah.
was freaking out. I rewrote the whole thing in 2 hours, and it became the control for that company. And a control is the type of content or the promotion that beats everything they've ever published at that point. And so you never know. You have no idea what's going to work. And in these times, I mean, good luck. Things are changing so fast.
So what do we do about it? Do we keep trialing and error? And is that sort of the name of the game these days? And how do we add in that
Absolutely.
human components that people remember us or our product?
Right. Don't be
By
afraid.
the way, we've got a lot of more extra people here. Charito, another Tracy, lovely to see you. We've got lots of people here. You draw, and Moosey is here. Love Moosey. So you drawn a lot of people in. Thank you.
I love them all. I love them all. So, yeah, test. That's the whole secret to everything. No one has any idea whether it'll work or not. I'm living it right now. I've been a content marketer and a copywriter and a licensed certified marketing coach for decades now. And guess what? I still don't have all the answers, but I've pivoted to taking my radio career and helping podcasters, both new and established, get better at interviewing skills. Because all I'm seeing in the podcast world is how to build your studio, what kind of tech to buy, lighting, things like that, how to advertise, which is very important. But no one is talking about interviewing people. And
What makes a great interviewer for your perspective? Because you got all the experience as a radio host where you are literally needing to be great at it for people to actually pay or, bring these people into the studio, to listen to your program.
And you think about the difference between like Joe Rogan and an infomercial is Joe is real. And that's another advantage we have right now. In this era of bots and AI, people are craving real humans more and more. And I think
couldn't agree more. We live in a world, the more the tech comes in, the more we lose that human connection, the more we're going to crave human connection. So everyone's like AI, and I'm not saying it's not great. We should all be on it. But it's it's mainstream now. It's not like just at the beginning where human connection now is the place for me to spend time. Plus, it's more comfortable for me.
Absolutely. And it can't be duplicated. I mean, nobody can be you. And that's and by the way, a free plug for me. I do have a free 5-day email crash course on podcast excellence. That's on my website. You can see it on the bottom, voiceofroyce.com. Wow, what a clever name, huh? But I talk about that. I talk about being you. And because you no longer have to have a radio voice, you don't have to be pretty or handsome, thin, have blonde hair and live in Australia. You don't have to have any of that stuff. You can be you. Yeah. You can be real. And people,
but you have to be able to connect with people you're interviewing, right? Because people don't open up unless you're able to connect with them. And I think the same goes for marketing and strategy. Think about how you can connect with the people that are important to you on a place where it feels personal, even if it's, one too many.
Right. And the secret to all of this, and people hate this, it does take work. The secret to all of this is research. You need to figure out, first question I ask if I get a copy project is, who is this for? Because you're going to write to, let's say, divorced women in the Midwest a lot differently than you're going to write to a CEO of a Fortune 100 company, because it's okay. So you have to research exactly what they're facing. And when interviewing guests, it's vitally important. I would spend 90% of my time. I always shoot for, and I love this phrase, find a question they've never been asked. It's the same with content you make. If you develop a YouTube channel talking about something that someone loves, but they've never seen before, they're going to become huge fans. I remember, I've interviewed well over 200 celebrities over my radio career. And most of these are on press junkets, right? So they go from radio station to TV station to radio station. So they've done probably 10 radio stations in a row and have probably been asked 80% of the same questions. And at that point, any human would be tired of this. But I had done enough research that I could always find something weird or unusual that I knew probably nobody else took the time to research. I'll give you a quick example. The boxer Mike Tyson. I was interviewing him, and of course, everybody wanted to know about, matches and his training regimen and all that stuff. I happen to know that Mike Tyson's favorite hobby at the time was pigeon racing. He liked to race pigeons. Don't ask me how you race pigeons. I don't know how it works. I don't know what the rules are. But when I asked him about that, he lit up like a Christmas tree. It was like, wow.
And I think you hit it on the nail in terms of what I've learned from my years of doing qualitative research, which is focus groups, workshop, etc., one-on-ones, right? It's always about getting people to tell me what's really going on. And I think what I learned was this: figure out as you talk to them, where are they passionate about? Where is there something where you can see them having a emotion, even online, where you can see an emotional reaction to something you say and see they have a passion for this topic. They're interested in this, and then get them to talk more about it.
And they appreciate, one, the question they've never been asked before, and they realize that you took the time to dig deeper. So don't ever go by a book jacket, a press release, a company newsletter, things like that. So, to take the time and do the research, because that is what's going to set everybody apart. That,
Exactly. But I also think there's another little element. Tell me if I'm wrong. You're the expert in this in terms of radio hosts. Now, I think if we are so prepared that we got all the questions written down, we sometimes forget to listen to what's being said in the moment.
Absolutely.
Because we're so busy. What is the next question? What is the next question?
Right.
You're going to ask that question. Who's going to ask that? No.
Right. Yeah.
Don't prepare too much. Have your research. Know who you're talking to, what they're passionate about.
I see it and hear it all the time. That's in my course as well, because I see so many, especially podcasters, they're so worried about getting to question 7 that they miss some gold that this guy is spewing over here that the audience heard, and then you just move on and like, wait, what about that pigeon thing? If I had gone, that's great, Mike. Well, tell me about your diet. They would have shot their radios or, whatever.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, change the station.
Yeah. So be willing to be unprepared a little bit, be willing to listen, and be willing to go with it when your gut tells you there's something here. Be willing to ask a few more questions, right? I just got a question from Moosey, by the way. What is your advice, people like me coming from a medical sector? Do you advise me to invest into AI startups in a marketing area? Or do you have a preferred area to focus on investing? I don't know. Is that a question you can answer?
I am not a licensed investment professional, so I have no answer for that. I will tell you this: AI is changing so fast. I don't know if I'm guessing a lot of folks are familiar with ChatGPT because it's so, it's everywhere. And they've just started releasing agents now. So you can have your own agent. And if you're not familiar with an agent is your personal secretary, is the easiest way to boil it down. So Christine says, hey, I really want some Mexican food do they have Mexican food in Australia? No,
yes, they do.
I'm kidding. I'm just joking around. So you say, please make me reservations at 6:00 at a close Mexican restaurant. And it will do that. It has your, this is where it gets scary. It has your credit card. It'll call the restaurant. It'll pick the restaurant, or it'll come back and go, hey, Christine, I found these three. Do you have a preference? You say yes, B, and then it calls the restaurant, makes your reservation. So, I mean, that's what an agent can do. And that's just a tiny bit. So
next thing you know, you're getting all these you didn't show up payments because
absolutely.
You're into 5 different places. Hey, I'm just kidding.
And on the restaurant side, Lord knows what's happening on their end, right? It's like, it's a robot again. What do I do? So yes, we're entering in a whole new era. But
Well, life is definitely interesting, but people here are saying real people attract real people. And isn't that the truth? And sometimes when we can't see faces, we still have to have a real voice and something that's engaging to listen for. And I just want to say hello to Randy and Vipin as well. We've got so many people here. So back to you. We started by talking around, and Lisa is here as well, marketing is totally changing. What do we do? Because like I'm like trying like here, there, and there, but it's like, wow, we're in a new world, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. But I want to real quickly get back to listening, because
Yes.
that is the most important skill anybody can have when you're, especially when you're interviewing guests, either, on a podcast or, in a business meeting. If you think about it, you have to hear, and every guest, and I cover this too. It's like, how do you get guests to shut up, or how do you get guests to open up? Because I've had both ends of that spectrum. So I won't name any. Well, I will. Yes, Don King, who is now passed, but he was a boxing promoter. Some of you will remember Don King. He was the easiest interview I ever had, because here's how you interview Don King. You say, "Hey, Don, how's it going?" And then you can go get a sandwich, because this guy has never seen a period in his life. I mean, he can talk without breathing. It's like Kenny G. He can hold that sustained note because he can control his breath. So he could go on for 10 minutes straight without stopping. So, I mean, that's one end. On the other hand, you've got some major stars I've talked to that they think it's almost beneath them to do this interview. Once again, that comes back to research. But if you can listen to how they're responding, or maybe someone isn't being honest, you can get down to, how does that make you feel questions and things, or wow, that must have been tough, huh? So, I mean, but you need to be real. You need to talk like an actual person. Forget if I didn't leave with 10 unasked questions, I wasn't doing my research. That's how I
I
felt.
love that. And I think there's a third person as well, the one which might have been the ones who are just thinks it beneath them, but the ones who are simply people sometimes will answer in one short sentence, yeah? So you ask a
Absolutely.
great question which is loaded, and then they give you one short little sentence. You're like, all right, so now I'm going to be digging,
Absolutely.
yeah?
And here's a quick tip, especially for podcasters. Don't tell people you're recording, because the best people, I mean, we were on before, right? And all of a sudden, I mean, obviously you can tell. Same on the air. If you're on the radio, they know when you're live. The song ended, so I mean, they can kind of tell. But if you're podcasting or recording or something like that, just start talking about their kids or their cars or whatever, and slowly move into it, especially if you have the ability to edit, which I never did. It was always live. And as you can tell, I'm scared to death.
You're very scared of life, hey? Christy is here as well. Great to see you. And Randy, I appreciate you always showing up. You're so great. Yes. So where were we? This is the thing as well. Sometimes live, we suddenly lose our train of thought, and
But
we go,
it's
what?
real. See, people know we're live. So, and just to tell you how crazy the AI is getting these days, and it's still a good idea if you take a long form podcast or an article on LinkedIn and chop it up, right? So you can make smaller posts or make it a short, or just a clip, which is still a good idea. If you take that and put that on LinkedIn and then move it over to Facebook and maybe Instagram, the AI knows these days that's not original. It can tell it came from somewhere else. So they're saying now the real way to beat the algorithm is to have make little changes, either like a new intro on a video or change a few words in a post, so it knows it's original to that platform. So that's what we're dealing with.
That's really interesting, because I'm sure you agree with this. In the old days, coming from starting in advertising, and working in brand strategy, innovation, etc., the one thing I've learned is repeat is important. People, might first time they see it, be like, oh, that's interesting. But they spend millions on a campaign. They're not just going to show it once. They're going to show it to you again and again and again, because it works that way. People have to see it until they realize, oh yeah, now I recognize it. Oh, now I know who it's for, etc. But so with that in mind, people saying, oh, you need to, on LinkedIn, for example, they told me, some people said, you got to keep putting out new things, because to your point, it will pick it up if it's the same. And I'm like, I hear you, but at the same time, I actually want to repeat, because it actually helps people get familiar, going, oh yeah, I feel a little bit familiar with this. There's a level of comfort in familiarity, right? So to your point, I'm like, okay, so what do I do? So I actually change slightly. I'll change the post slightly, but I do sometimes reuse my stuff, because why wouldn't I?
Oh, sure. Yes. I mean, you have to reuse content or you go crazy. So, yeah, I mean, I just got out of a master class last week on this, and I think everybody, they still argue, but the average is 21 touch points that they're saying before someone will actually make a buying decision. And that's the key right there, is a buying decision. That doesn't mean a like or getting more reach. Once again, it comes back to who's this for. If you're talking to solar birdhouse builders, you're probably one of the very few, and they're going to say, oh man, do I love Christine. She loves birdhouses just as much as I do. So, I mean, you're going to have a fan for life. So it's not about numbers, right? It's about your minimal viable audience and build from there.
But there's another point, memorability.
Yes.
How do we stay memorable if we're not original or unique, or know what our competitive advantage is and use it to our advantage?
You have to be, I like the term remarkable better than memorable, because I have a lot of people, just my connections vary widely. I have scientists down to, well, let's face it, goofballs, because some of them appreciate my humor. It's not for everyone. And guess what? It never is. So anytime you're talking to everyone, another thing I cover in the course too, don't use words like everybody or welcome everyone. You should become your favorite word. Always use the word you, because especially in podcasting, the odds are way high that you're talking to one person. Not only that, they're probably doing the dishes, driving, vacuuming. They're doing it. It's a solitary experience. So don't use big audience words, because I like to say you're not only just talking to an audience, you're talking to a parade, because people are coming and going and stopping. Others are leaving early. So
I wanted to, before we finish up, and we are close to time because it's a snappy chat after all, and I could talk to you forever, but there is something around that being personal, and that is make it feel like it's me you're talking to versus everyone else, right?
Absolutely.
And that's a really important part in human connection. We need to feel that we are being heard and seen, even if we are listening to something in solitary, right?
Absolutely. And once again, that's where here's a trick I always used to use, and everybody can do this. I use it when I'm writing copy, and I used it on the radio. Put up a picture right where you can see it by your monitor, wherever, so you can talk to that person. And it doesn't have to be a real picture, a picture of somebody that fits that profile, somebody that fits that demographic you're trying to reach, and write or talk to that person. And that'll help you sound much more personal.
And also, I think, know what makes you special in terms of what people like about you. Understand your strengths.
Don't hide it. If you've got a weird voice or one eye or no nose or whatever, live it. I mean, be okay with that, and everybody else will too.
So my husband, American, living in Australia, Danish. My English, I have a bit of dyslexia when it comes to changing up words. So he calls my English Dinglish, Half the time I put words in the wrong part in the sentence, And he's like, this is just English. And, I could try and improve my English. At some point, I wanted to have a perfect English accent. And he's like, nah, you're you. Just stay with it,
Well, I'm sure you throw some, what is it, Danish in there too, or?
Well, that's why he calls it Dinglish, right? But in
Yes,
terms of sentence, when I set up the sentence,
yes,
did this
it's,
start on Snapchat? What is this? No, Snappy Chat. No, I just made up the name because I didn't want to do 1 hour long on LinkedIn because I sometimes find it hard to sit for an hour and a half to listen to others. So I called it. This is Michael asking. I said I just called it Snappy Chat, and it's kind of really nice, like the voice of Royce. Yeah, it kind of just works.
I hope so.
So it's about making those words that are memorable. Snappy Chat is quite memorable.
Absolutely. And the name says it
I
all.
pick my
So
nose. So does that help, Michael? I don't know. Maybe some people love you picking your nose. I'm sure. So be yourself, but also make sure that you are obviously likable to some extent.
yes, you kind of need although there's several very, very offensive folks that are doing quite well on social media. So, but not for
No,
me
true.
anyway.
Everyone has their own flavor, I guess. But for me, being a qualitative researcher and working a lot in Asia as well, where the culture is very different than Danish or
No,
Australian, it's a lot less assertive, it's a lot more agreeable. And I come in and I'm blah, blah, blah. I have to do it with a smile because otherwise my directness is uncomfortable. So I
right.
learned very quickly in Asia, if I wanted anyone to take on board what I was telling them when I was presenting to big corporates, I had to smile whilst I was telling them something really directly because I couldn't change how direct I was. That's in my Danishness. But I could smile when I was doing it. And that worked.
Absolutely. Yeah. Once again, know your audience, right? Who is this for? That's such a vital point. I hope everyone takes that away with them. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So thank you so much for your time. Do you got anything? Well, we could talk forever. Anything last minute you want to share about where they
Yeah.
can find you? We already got your
Yes. If you go to
website.
voiceofroyce.com, you can see that free 5-day email crash course to podcast excellence. And it's not just really for podcasters, but if you host events or even do presentations, it's really about keeping an audience engaged. And a lot of simple things you probably know already, but simple things like using the word you and getting used to yourself, things like that, how to get over anxiety and all kinds of fun stuff.
Yes, how to go on live and do shows anyway, even if you not think you're good at it. We got so many things here. So obviously you are able to keep the audience interested here. We've got plenty of you saying fantastic show, great show. Thank you so much. Great session. Thank you. We appreciate you, Royce. I
I
appreciate you a
appreciate
lot. I
you,
wish
Christine.
at
Thank
this
you
point I
so
would
much.
like to make Snappy into a long Snappy chat, but that wouldn't work with the name, I don't think.
It really depends on the guest, as always.
It really does. If no one is there, what can you do? But even when no one shows up for live LinkedIn, because that also happens if you're starting your own live LinkedIn or podcast, you might find that you will have no guests sometimes. Yeah. No one is
Oh,
showing up and
absolutely.
commenting, and you still just have to go on and do it.
Oh, absolutely. Been there, done that. And, once
I've
again,
done a
live
free
on the
class
air.
for myself before, by the way, too. So anyone who thinks we just nailed this, nah. I've done
Yeah.
a free class. No one showed up. I'm like, well, they want the replay, so I might as well do it anyway.
Go team replay. Yes.
It happens.
Absolutely.
This is the life we live in. Just keep on going. Let the show keep going. Randy, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Although Snappy, it was great. Yes. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Royce, most of all.
Thank you. You're such a great friend. Always happy to be on.
Thank you. And you're such a great, sometimes it's just you in the comments. So I appreciate you for always showing up being first in the comments because you know what? It means a lot. A lot more than you
Absolutely.
realize.
Absolutely. I love hearing from everyone. I try to answer every comment I can. So it's all part about, the word we hate, networking. So, yes, building
Thank you so much.
connections.
Thank you, and please all connect with each other in the comments if you want to, and connect with me, connect with Royce if you haven't already. And thank you so much for your time. We'll be back next week with hopefully with another guest. Actually, I'm looking for one right now. Someone bailed on me, so we'll see if I find someone. We'll see. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.